Seches Bava Kamma Daf Yud Dalid has two primary sugyas. The first is an analysis of the machlokes between Rav Chizda and Rabbi Elazar about whether one is chayav for shein and regel in a yard which is owned in partnership by the nizik and the mazik. Coincidental to that, we'll bring two conflicting brises and answer the contradiction between them, and then the Gemara is going to analyze one of those brises more deeply. That's all. The first sugya. The second sugya begins with a new Mishnah, which talks about the tashlumin and how you pay it. Cryptically worded Mishnah, which the Gemara will have to explain word by word. So we begin with the machlokes between Rav Chizda and Rabbi Elazar. Rav Elazar discussing what is the halacha of shein regel in a field which is owned in partnership by the nizik and the mazik. Now, the halacha of shein regel generally is you only have to pay for it in reshus hayachid, reshus harabim, where everybody has permission to be there. You're not chayav for shein regel, and the reason is because the pasuk says it'll be or b'stei acher. It has to be that it went and it ate or it walked around in someone else's reshus, not in a place where the mazik has reshus to be. So the question is, reshus harabim is out. What about a land that's owned in partnership between the nizik and the mazik? So the machlokes between Rav Chizda, who says that you chayiv there, it's like reshus hayachid, and Rabbi Elazar, who says that you potter there, it's like reshus harabim. So the Gemara brings a proof against Rabbi Elazar. The Gemara quotes a brisa that says that Rav Yosef brings, which says pretty clearly that a chutzner, a yard which belongs in shutfin, belongs in partnership to the two, or a hotel in which both nizik and mazik are quartered in, you're chayiv for shein and regel. That's a pretty clear, it's explicitly like Rav Chizda, that you're chayiv against Rabbi Elazar, says that you're potter. So Rabbi Elazar answers that it's a machlekes tanaim, and there's a brisa that goes like me. And it brings this brisa at length. The brisa discusses 4 zones in the halachos of Karen and shein and regel. Now, shein and regel, we know, is only chayiv in a reshus hayachid. What's the halach of Karen? So Karen is chayiv everywhere. However, we'll see in some places it's nezek shalim, and in some places it is nezek, it is chatzi nezek, and in some places it's even potter altogether. So let's see them all. So the 4 zones are land that belongs to the nizik, land that belongs to the mazik, land that belongs to both, and land that belongs to neither. So land that belongs to the nizik, for sure you chayiv everything, because the mazik has no right having his shar there at all. Not only that, but you pay nezek shalim even for Karen, because you had no business bringing your shar there in the first place. Now, the opposite extreme would be land which belongs to the mazik, and there the nizik had no business bringing his shar there, and you're part of everything. You're part of a Karen, shein, regel, completely. Now, where both of them have reshus to be there, the brisa there says Karen pays chatzi nezek, and shein and regel are potter. That's the line which is explicitly like Rabbi Elazar, shein and regel are potter, like Rabbi Elazar says. And the 4th rule concludes that in a place where neither of them have permission to be there, that it's someone else's private chatzar, there, again, the Karen pays chatzi nezek, and the shein and regel are chayiv nezek shalom. The Gemara will explain later how all of these work. But for now, our proof is that this brisa clearly says that in a place which they both have reshus, it is a partnership owned between the nizik and the mazik, shein and regel are potter. So you see it's a machlokes between the 2 brises, and therefore it's a machlokes between the tanaim as well. So the Gemara wants to say it's not a contradiction between the brises at all. You can fit them together. And they're talking about different types of partnerships. The one which says that they're potter is talking about where they had a partnership to keep their fruits there and to keep their oxen there, meaning that the nizik and the mazik both had permission to put their ox there. And therefore, the shein v'regel, the damage that happens there, the mazik had permission to bring his shar there, and therefore he's potter for it, because it's a land where he had permission to be there. It's not called stei acher. Stei acher is where you didn't have permission to be there. The case where they're chayiv is where the brisa where they're chayiv, that's referring to where they both had permission to put their peiros there. Therefore, the nizik had permission to put his fruits there. The mazik would have also had permission to put fruits there, but he did not have permission to bring shvarim there. This was the type of place that was set aside for fruits, not for oxen. And the mazik bringing his ox there, he was not allowed to, and therefore it is therefore he's chayiv. And so there's no contradiction between the brises at all. Now, the Gemara wants to say that there was a kasha here between Rabbi Zera and the answer by Abaye. Rabbi Zera said, why is it called stei acher? Since he had a right to put his peiros there, it's called his field. How could you call it stei acher? Shein and regel are only chayiv by stei acher. Abaye answered, since he didn't have permission to put his shar there, it's a stei acher. It's a different field, not a field that has permission for his ox to be there. So now the Gemara says you've resolved the contradiction between the two brises. Maybe resolve the contradiction between the two Amoraim also. Maybe Rav Chizda and Rav Elazar are not arguing. Maybe Rav Chizda, who says Chayiv, is talking about where the Mazik did not have a shus to bring his ox there, and Rav Elazar, who said Pater, is talking about where the Mazik did have a shus to bring his ox there. So the Gemara says that Rav Acha mi Difti said this to Ravina, and Ravina said, yes, you're right. They're not arguing. And if you want to say that they're arguing over Rabbi Zeir's kasha and Abaye's answer. One says, like Rabbi Zeir's kasha, this is not called stay acher, and therefore shein regular potter. And the other one says, like Abaye, this is called stay acher because he didn't have permission to breathe there, so shein regular chayiv. Okay, the Gemara now refers back to the second brisa, where we had 4 rules in 4 places. And the Gemara analyzes a bit more deeply, and the Gemara says that there seems to be a contradiction between 2 of the rules. The Gemara focuses on the one which is neither Rishus HaNizik nor Rishus HaMazik. The Gemara says, well, then whose Rishus is it? If we want to learn that it's someone else's Rishus, the Gemara says, then that's not called Bir B'stei Acher. The Shein and Regel has to be Ubir B'stei Acher. Ubir B'stei Acher means that it's in someone else's Rishus, meaning the Rishus of the Nizik. It damages the Nizik because it goes into the Nizik's Rishus and it eats his fruits. So it can't be someone else's. It has to be Rishus of the Nizik. If it's Rishus of the Nizik, then it's the same as the first rule, which was also Rishus of the Nizik. Problem is we have different halachos. Where do we see different halachos? So in the first rule, we said that it's the Rishus of the Nizik, and for Keren, you have to pay Bichol Nizakin. Bichol Nizakin. It doesn't say Al Hakol, for all of them, for Keren and Shein and Regel. It says Bichol. That means you have to pay the full amount. That means that for Keren you have to pay Nezik Shalom. However, in the last case, where it's neither, which is what the Gemara refers to as the Rishus HaNizik, because it doesn't really say neither, it says Lo Lezev, Lo Lezev. There, it doesn't use that lashon, and it says clearly you only have to pay Chati Nezik for Keren. So, therefore, the Gemara's kasha is the first case and the last case are both Rishus HaNizik. Shein and Regel is the same halacha, you're chayiv for them, but in the first case we say that you're chayiv nezik shalem in Rishus HaNizik for Keren, and in the last case we say you're chayiv only chati nezik for Keren. Now the Gemara says this idea is a machlekes between Rabbi Tarfon and the Chacham. Rabbi Tarfon holds if you go into the Rishus HaNizik and you do Keren, you have to pay nezik shalem. So that fits with the first rule. And then the last rule sounds like the Rabbanan hold if you go into the Rishus HaNizik and you do a Keren, you have to pay chati nezik. So it seems like the first case is Rabbi Tarfon, and the last case is the Rabbanan, which is Shivar. So we're going to offer 2 answers. The Gemara's first answer is yes. The first case is Rabbi Tarfon. The last case is the Rabbanan. It's not really 4 different rules according to one shita, but by compiling the 2 shitas, you end up with 4 rules: 3 l'chaladeis and 1 that's a machlekes. Now the Gemara says that the support to this is from Shmuel, who said to Yehuda, is a Talmud. He said, sharp one, leave the Mishnah, go outside and say the drasha that I said. The beginning is Rabbi Tarfon and the end is the Chachamim. He was in a different context, but he says the same thing here. You could apply the same thing here. So that's the Gemara's first approach. Yes, it's a bit shvar, but the Mishnah switches from one person to someone else in the middle. The Gemara's second answer is no. The entire Mishnah is Rabbi Tarfon. And the difference between the first case and the last case is what Rishus HaNizik is it for? It's the Rishus HaNizik in what? In the first case, it's Rishus HaNizik for Shein and for Keren. The Mazik did not have rights to put his shor in there, and therefore for Shein it's considered to be Rishus HaYachid, Rishus HaNizik, you're chayiv for it. For Keren it's also considered to be Rishus HaNizik, Rishus HaYachid, and you're chayiv Nezik Shalem. According to Rabbi Tarfon. The last case, though, it was the exclusive rishus of the nizik concerning the rights to put his fruits there, and therefore for Shein it counts as rishus hayachid, and you chayev for it. However, the mazik did have a right to bring his ox there, and therefore it is rishus ha-shutfin concerning Keren, and that's why you pay only chatzi nezik in that case. So the Gemara asks, so then you don't really have 4 different rules. You actually have is 3 rules. You have Rishus HaNizik, Rishus HaMazik, and both of them. And then you have a case which is Rishus HaNizik lenient this, Rishus HaMazik lenient that. But it's not a new case, it's not a new rule, it's just an application of 2 of the 3 previous rules. So why do we say that there's 4 rules? The Brisa starts off saying that there are 4 rules. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says it's not really 4 rules, it's 3 rules, but it's 4 different places. So we identify 4 different places and apply the 3 rules. Okay, well now we get the next Mishnah, which is very brief, but is very cryptic. So we'll just translate the words, and the Gemara will explain it phrase by phrase. So it says, Shum Kesef, the evaluation of the money. And it says, Shava Kesef, you have to pay something that's worth the money. And it says it's in front of the Beis Din, it's by witnesses. And then it's B'nei Chayrin, B'nei Bris, Nashim, B'chal HaNezek. So free people, not Avadim. B'nei Bris, that's Yisrael, and women, they're all included in the Nizikin. And then you have the Nizik and the Mazik b'tashlumin. The damager and the damagee both need to be involved in the payment. So what does all this mean? So the Gemara says, Shum Kesef, of evaluating for the money. So Gemara quotes Rabbi Yehuda, who says it means to say that the Beis Din always evaluates the cost of the damage, how much the loss is, and you pay that amount. We don't say swap it for a new one without evaluating what it's worth. Or we don't say give him the mazik. So if a cow trampled a talus, or a cow tripped on a talus and got hurt, you don't say, okay, switch it. Give the cow, if the cow ruined the talus, give him the cow. Or if the talus hurt the cow, give him the talus. You don't say that. And you say you evaluate the loss and you pay that amount. All right, so that's Shum Kesef. Then it says Shava Kesef, worth money. That means an object which is worth money. What does that mean? So Marcos Baisa that says, teaches that Beis Din only makes you pay with land. If you have land, Beis Din comes to you and makes you pay. If you don't have land, Beis Din's not going to come after you to pay to give other things. However, if the Nizik goes and grabs something, the Beis Din will take it from him. Now, the Gemara discusses this. So the Gemara says, Shava Kesef teaches that the Beis Din only goes to the people who have land. How does the words Shava Kesef mean that? So Rabbi Bar Ua says, we call it Davar HaShaveh Kol Kesef. When we speak about that you need to pay, we say Davar HaShaveh Kol Kesef. So what does that mean, Davar HaShaveh Kol Kesef? Something which is worth the full amount that you pay for it. What does that mean? That means something which is no concept of Eina. Eina is a halacha of if you overpay, if you underpay, it's canceled. That means that it's not worth what you pay for it, as opposed to land, which is worth what you pay for it, because there's no concept of Eina on land. However much you agree to pay, that's how much it's worth, and therefore there's no concept of Eina. Therefore, it's called something which is worth what you pay for it, and that's the only thing you pay from. Shava Kesef, Shava Kol Kesef, and that's what it means. That's how these words in the Mishnah mean that you only pay for things with land. Somebody asks, but it's not just land. There are other things that have no din Eina. For example, avadim and shtaris have no din Eina either. So therefore, the Gemara has a different source. The Gemara quotes Rabbi Bar Ua, who says something which can be purchased with money itself. Shava Kesef, something which can be purchased with money. Now, that's only land, because land transfers hands by giving the money. Everything else requires Mashiach. So the Gemara says, no, Avada Mishtaris also transfer Rishus with giving the money, don't require Mashiach. So says another Pshat. Rashi says, Kesef. It says, the Mishnah says, Shava Kesef, something which is worth money, not something which is money itself. All movable objects, including Shtar and Avadim, count as money. And the reason is because you can take it somewhere else. So it's value in and of itself. Land can't be taken somewhere else, so you can't call it money, and therefore when it says Shava Kesef, it means land. Now, the Gemara asks a simple kasha. How could you say that you only collect Nezikin from land, from someone who owns land? We've said several times in this Masechta that we have Yashiv, Kesef Yashiv Labav. Yashiv is to include other types of returning. You're allowed to pay with anything, even Subin. Even if you don't have land, you should be able to pay with Subin. So my answer is talking about Yisaimim, where the Mazik was a father. He died, and his kids are paying off the chayv. Now they're only yerush the chayv if they have land. You can only collect it from land, and that's why it says only with land, not with subin, not with shavakesa, not with any type of metaltalin. So the Gemara asks, so then why does it say that if the Nizik went and grabbed it, that he gets to keep it, and the Bezdin allows him to collect with it. If it's from Yisaimim, they don't have to pay if they don't own land. So why should the Nizik be able to keep what he grabbed? So the answer is when he grabbed it, the father was still alive. He grabbed when it wasn't Yisaimim. Oh, so then he's allowed to keep it. Okay, now the next line in the Mishnah was Bifnei Bezdin, has to be in front of the Bezdin. So what does that mean? So where it says this is to include somebody who doesn't have any money by the time he comes to Bezdin. If he has property, he sells all the property, he has nothing left, and now he comes to Bezdin, doesn't have anything, right? He sold everything he owned, and then he spent all the money. So now he doesn't have a nickel to his name. Now he comes to Bezdin. At the time that he comes to Bezdin, there is no Shava Kesef. The Bezdin won't collect from. Somebody says, really? The Bezdin won't collect from somebody who does that? It can't be right. If somebody borrows money and then he spends it all and he sells his land, we collect that land. So why should he have to have it now? Some more changes. Prat, the Gemara says, Prat the Bezdin, meaning to exclude a Bezdin of Hadietis. It has to be B'fnei Bezdin, has to be in front of a real Bezdin, like a Sanhedrin of Mumchim, not just regular people. Okay, next and last line for this stuff, we said that's Al Pi Edim, you need witnesses. Gemara says, what does that mean? Witnesses means that it has to be that the witnesses are mechayev you. If you're moideh, so moideh b'knas, and then witnesses come, you potter. So says, hold on, that's a machlekes. If a moideh b'knas and then witnesses come, it's potter chayev. So according to the Manimber says that you're chayev. What are you going to say? What is this about? So Gemara says is to teach you the seifa that the witnesses have to be b'nei chayrin and b'nei bris. B'nei chayrin and not avadim, b'nei bris and not avdei kechavim. And you need both those halachas. You can't learn one from the other. Whereas if you only said avadim, you think that's because they have no yachas, their families are not considered to belong to them. However, an Eved Kechavim that has family would be Makabel Zaydus, and if you only said Eved Kechavim, that's because he's not shaykh to any mitzvahs. But an Eved who has certain mitzvahs, like an Isha, perhaps he is shaykh to Eidos, and therefore you have to say the two.